for us now to put a cap on this bulletin so that we can go and salvage what has remained of Jamhuri Day. We'll have this. Before I do, for many former European colonies in Africa, the process of the indigenous taking over and running the government and other sectors, otherwise known as Africanization, was as challenging as was momentous. How did Kenya manage the Africanization of her civil service and other key areas? I will leave you now in the hands of Gashoka Kingori, who has that report.
Following Kenya's independence in 1963, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta's government embarked on a process of Kenyanization, also referred to as Africanization. The aim to make Kenyans embrace identity and ownership of their now independent country.
The main issue was the image of the Mau Mau country, run by the Mau Mau chief, because they used to call Kenyatta the Mau Mau chief. You had to have black people. The ideology or whatever was not the issue. It's the blackness, so that you can say we have our people. And the criteria was anyone who had some qualification of some sort got a job, because there was a shortage of people. And those people who had gone to America and to Britain were now beginning to come back.
That colonial arrangement had to change, so that if it was politics, it would be politics by the rule by majority Africans, who were the rightful owners of the country that was a colony then. And the rest, if they choose to stay, and then they will have to contend with the fact that this is Africa, and the Africans have to rule themselves.
So, why was Africanization critical to a country coming from colonialism?
Hii ilikuwa inasemekana ati ni kitu ya wabeberu. Mkubwa yake Bwana Ndolo naye akisimama hapa sasa, mtatetemeka kuona vile mambo yalivyo. Hebu wapigie suruti moja ya wananchi.
Naturally, there are things that had to be done immediately. Africanization of the fundamental institutions within the state, like the military, the police, the security agencies generally. Because of the nature of these, the process of Africanization was almost immediate.
Were Kenyans ready to take over the running of their country's affairs?
For the administration purposes, those early DCs and DUs, they usually were sent to England for almost a year. So go to Manchester, go to Cambridge, maybe go to another university, to be there for a year to interact with officials and be taught some sort of administration, not to get a degree. So the purpose was not to get a degree, it was to learn how to govern people. So, and that happened on the eve of independence, and slightly there during the transition. So these are the people who became DCs, and because that was the purpose.
It was a balancing out for President Jomo Kenyatta that required him not to be guided by emotions. Addressing white settlers in Nakuru, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta assured them they would not be forced out of their land.
We believe that Kenya is large enough. Kenya potentiality is great. And all of us, and I'm not telling you this because I'm in your meeting, I'm telling you what I believe and what my government believes. That white, brown, black can work together harmoniously in this country and make this country great.
Mzee Kenyatta was a politician par excellence, and he had an advantage over the young men who surrounded him. and that the advantage was the wisdom that comes with age. Mzee Kenyatta was much aware of the dominant role that the white settlers played in Kenya. And he knew very well the capacity to disrupt the economic structures of the new country and put us in a situation where we will probably never come out. And secondly, at that time, he needed some level of acceptance internationally. He needed to have the image of a statesman who believed in human rights, who conducted things in ways that respected others. I know for sure that the radicals around Mzee Kenyatta, particularly those who were young in age, wanted him to pronounce himself and say, from today henceforth, Kenya is an African country meant for Africans by Africans. He could have easily done that. But because of the political wisdom that comes with his experience and wide travel and exposure, I have a feeling that he had to strike a very delicate balance. And he knew very well not many or not all will agree with him on both sides of the divide, on the side of Africans and on the side of white settlers.
This declaration did not go down well with some Kenyans, especially the Mau Mau fighters.
So what you had is Kenyatta was particularly concerned with balance and not rocking the boat. And there is that episode where he addressed the settlers in Nakuru. I'm sure you have heard of it. And it was Njoroge Mungai who told me that story. Very interesting story. So when they were going to Nakuru, he and a few younger people, thinking that they were revolutionaries, advised Kenyatta to tell the Wazungu, mashamba yetu tutachukua. It's our land, we are going to get it. That's what they told him. But when they went there and they were sitting in the audience, Kenyatta just did the opposite. He started laughing with the Wazungu, telling how good they are as Kenyans as we are. Those of you who want to stay, please stay and teach our people to do these things. It's your country. Not the revolutionary thing that they were talking about. And by the end of it, the Wazungus were cheering and dancing Kenyatta's song in Nakuru. So the question came, why did he do that? And according to Njoroge Mungai, after the speech, they went together. And they asked him, what did you do? What was that? And he looked at them, and then he responded and said, first, you did your job. And your job was to advise. You gave me advice, and I listened very carefully. And it was good advice. You gave me advice. That's your job. But making decisions is my job.
And it was not only the civil service and the business sector that had been dominated by the Europeans and Asians. Even roads, schools and hospitals had to change names to be Africanized.
Now, as the country moved towards independence, there was that move to Africanize, to create things you can identify with and things that don't remind you of the bad colonialism. Among the first was, there used to be a very big statue of Lord Delamere near the New Stanley Hotel, just around that corner. It was brought down, and the Wazungus were not amused. Because how can you do that? That avenue used to be called Delamere Avenue, so it was changed, Kenyatta Avenue. And to really create some sort of identity for Africans, to see that they got something. The Uhuru Highway, this one here, used to be called was Princess Elizabeth. So it was named Uhuru Highway, and people were happy now they have a highway called Uhuru, not the man. But okay, so, and then there's institutions of education. So Prince of Wales became Nairobi School. Duke of York became Lenana School. Duke of Gloucester became Jamhuri High School.
Which one?
Duke of Gloucester. Duchess of Gloucester became Pangani Girls. Now, so now even the leadership of the schools, you put African principles in these schools to effect the Africanization, and in the process also affect the teaching, the way people looked at things. So this was a deliberate act in order to give Africans a sense of ownership in these institutions. Even the hospital, the King George VI Hospital, it's now called Kenyatta Hospital, National Hospital.
King George? The sixth.
The sixth, yeah. Hospital is the one that was transformed to Kenyatta National Hospital rather than King George. Princess Elizabeth Hospital became Nairobi Hospital.
During the clamor for independence, some leaders were involved in setting the stage for the anticipated transition. Such was the case with Mbio Koinange, who in the 1940s started Githunguri Technical College. Other countries were also involved.
Mbio Koinange, when he started Githunguri Teachers College in the 1930s, in the 1940s, he was talking about training people to take over from the Brits at independence. He had contacts in America, so he was trying to tell them, give us opportunities, trainings, and that, so that when the independence comes, we should be ready.
Kenya is said to have handled its Africanization agenda far much better than most African countries. Congo's case is viewed among the worst. And as Kenya marks her 58th Jamhuri Day, so begs the question, are there gains that can be attributed to what was arguably a smooth transition from colonialism to independence?
We gained independence and established a majority African rule at a very disadvantaged position. As you have seen, we were low in terms of everything. We were the lowest echelons of society in politics, in economics, and even in the structures of society. Then we gained independence, and then we are underprivileged in all aspects of life. And then we get into efforts of transiting, working within the confines of the problems that we were facing. If you look at it that way, we did very well. And I will dare say, without any fear of contradiction, that we did very well. Within a very short time of achievement of independence, we started a massive expansion of our school system. We started actually creating high and tertiary training. The origins and development of university education in Kenya, beginning with the University of Nairobi. You see the efforts from immediately from the 60s and the 70s, and by 1974 we had a full-fledged university in Kenya here within the first 10 years of our independence. We had a number of middle-level colleges.
It does appear that at the beginning, merit counted a lot. And as long as you have your qualifications, you got something. But much later, a few decades later, it changed to the point where merit was questionable. And something, what do we call that thing? The face of Kenya. Which meant that you knock some people off, even if they are qualified. Institutions started going down. See, we have universities being closed because of mismanagement. So, but you could not hear that a school or a university in the 1960s or 70s was mismanaged. You could not. And not just that, even the institutions of government. There was, the foundation was good.
The Africanization of the upper levels of the civil service took place extremely fast. For KBC features, I am Gashoka Kingori.